Hi, and welcome to Tech Tip Friday. I'm Kurt Stahle, that plastics guy, and I'm bringing you a tech tip that you can take, well, not just to the shop floor, but I do hope in everyday life. Last week, my podcast talked about sustainability, and I discussed, well, what can we do within the four walls of the manufacturing facility, primarily to conserve our resources. Electricity, for example, water, keeping your machines at optimal state of tune and minimizing electricity consumption. Likewise with water, we use water for chilling processes. What can we do to minimize water use and therefore hopefully hydro use as well? All these machines take hydro to run. And then of course there's conservation of your raw materials, the very plastic that is very hotly debated in society right now. Plastic seems to be a bit of a dirty word when it comes to sustainability, and truly it's not, and we have to do our part to challenge that. So we want to be as efficient as we can on the inside of our four walls of manufacturing. That's how we do sustainability there. Well, what about sustainability once those parts that are manufactured leaves the chain of ownership of the manufacturer or the plastics processor? Well, what then? The parts are in the wild. We don't have control over them insofar as the industry goes. Well, we do our best to promote recycling. The Polystyrene Recycling Alliance, a great organization looking at dealing with the problem of expanded polystyrene foam. Densification, that's how we conquer the issue of shipping material to be reprocessed. Take the air out of it. Makes good sense, and it's not an expensive process. We're not doing that here in Canada, to the best of my knowledge, but it's being done in the US where 10 times the population, 10 times the problem, it gets 10 times the attention. So good for them for doing it, and hopefully we'll see those solutions come up here. So recycling, obviously, a key component of sustainability, but with plastics, as we know, you can only reprocess them so many times before they break down on a molecular level due to heat history. And I talked about using antioxidants to combat that during reprocessing. But just when these parts are out in the wild and they hit heat and they hit UV, well, those are the things that naturally break down plastic. So what do we do from a sustainability standpoint when plastics have reached their end of life and can't be reprocessed because of too many heat histories, or the material is damaged, or the parts and things that we're trying to reprocess just simply don't make sense to collect? Well, this is where we look at technology that will degrade plastic almost on an on-demand basis. The technology itself, or the conceptualization of the technology, is not necessarily a new thing. Agriculture wrap, the white bale wrap that goes over hay bales, for example, that can be triggered to degrade with pretty decent accuracy at so many days after it's applied and it's out in the atmosphere, just sitting out in the field. Basically, it can start to decay. There are just different ways to achieve that process. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a product that I sell that can do that. It's called RAWS, Return to Air, Water, and Soil is the acronym. That is triggered by the material that contains the additive hitting a certain temperature, so I believe it's 77 Fahrenheit, or you have a UV trigger as well. So those two things have to happen. Now, it's again, not an infomercial for that product. It's a technology I offer. It's proven it works. But just conceptually, think about the bigger picture. We have the ability to make plastics disappear. Not into microplastics, I mean disappear into absolutely nothing of any consequence. Gone. We can do that. We have that technology. Does it cost some money to put that additive in? Yes. So perhaps that's one of the reasons why manufacturers don't do it. More so from a consumer acceptance and price increase, concern, more than anything. Can the additive be put in? Yes. If you can color plastics at your processing equipment with master batch, you can use this type of product or something similar. That's not a problem. So what I'd encourage you to do with your customers is to discuss sustainability options. We can all take responsibility for the life cycles of our products that we make without us having direct ownership of them, from the manufacturing side. And controlling when they actually degrade and the conditions upon which they degrade, that is actually really key. We have to understand it. I can help with that. There are others that sell, this type of technology with different triggers. We have to start exploring this. It's one way to make plastics sustainable. So think of sustainability not just in terms of recapturing and reclaiming every single thing that's made. It's not economically viable to do that. But part of sustainability can also be thought in not creating a problem to be buried in a landfill. So a product like ROS, with its technology and its trigger mechanisms, that is a way to actually make plastics sustainable, because we're not creating a problem after the fact with goods that are out there being used and then left abandoned only to be buried in a landfill at some point in time. And when they're buried in a landfill, when plastics are cool and not exposed to UV, the degradation process still occurs, but it takes much longer. I don't think it's thousands of years, folks, but could it be decades and decades and decades and decades and tens of decades? Yes. But we have the technology to not let that happen. So that's a conversation we need to push from an industry to plastics processors and end users to gain acceptance for this type of technology. Just a thought. So that's my tech tip, philosophical sustainability tip for you today. I do hope you give it serious consideration, because we do need to address the problem of all of the things we make, regardless of the raw material used. But obviously my focus is plastics, so that's what I'm going to talk about. Think about that. Have a great Friday, a great weekend, and we'll be back next week with another tech tip. Thanks so much. Bye for now.